Hawking says that if extraterrestrials visit us, the outcome might be similar to when Columbus landed in America. In other words, it didn't turn out too well for Native Americans.
אתה מצלם? אתה רואה?
אני רואה, מה זה?
תגיד, שתים יותר מדי?
לא, כולנו רואים את זה.
מה זה?
5 עיניים.
שיו!
יואו! רוד, בלין.
מה
מה
זה?
זה, אמא?
מה זה, ראית?
יואו בנברות.
ראית את זה?
תראה, יש שם עוד.
הנה, תראי שמה. מה זה?
אמא, לדור, אמא.
ג'ודאיזם, מה זה? זה סמלים.
זה יורד למטה.
אתה מצלם? אתה רואה?
אני רואה, מה זה?
תגיד, שתים יותר מדי?
לא, כולנו רואים את זה.
מה זה?
5 עיניים.
שיו!
יואו! רוד!
In a long-awaited announcement, scientists operating NASA's Kepler planet-hunting satellite reported Wednesday that they had identified 1,202 possible planets orbiting other stars, potentially tripling the number of known planets in the universe. The researchers discovered that small planets like Earth are more common than large planets like Jupiter. They identified more than 50 such small planets that could have liquid water, many of them in multi-planet systems. Stars with multiple planets are especially sought after, since watching how the planets interact tells us more about them. The data uncovered 200 such systems.
Scientists have discovered a new Earth-like planet capable of harboring water and eventually sustain life. It's been nicknamed the Goldilocks planet because it's not too hot and not too cold.
Astronomers from around the world are expressing excitement about a radio signal coming from deep space. New Scientist magazine reports some say it might be a signal from an alien civilization.
And they consider the star to be close, just 20 light years. In the scheme of the universe, this planet is virtually next door, and one of the next steps will be to listen carefully.
We'll take stars like this one and put them on our targeted survey for the Allen Telescope Array to look for radio signals as a means to look for advanced life.
The Vatican is looking to the heavens for signs of life.
Yes, David. 400 years after the church locked up Galileo for challenging the view that the Earth was the center of the universe, the Catholic Church is exploring if life exists elsewhere in the universe. And astronomers, physicists, and priests are in Rome this week to debate the age-old question, if we are, or are we, really alone? There was a statement from Reverend Jose Briel Funes, and it says, just as there is a multitude of creatures on earth, there could be other beings, even intelligent ones created by God. This does not contradict our faith because we cannot put limits on God's creative freedom.
A UFO. Well, that's if you believe a video which has soared to the top of YouTube's Russian website. The pictures, apparently shot from a passing car, have become an online sensation. Another YouTube clip filmed during daylight shows a fuzzy grey object on the skyline near Red Square.
Tonight, Norwegian authorities are investigating strange lights seen in the Arctic sky. The spiralling white light was seen for several minutes Wednesday morning. Locals say the light appeared to be bigger than the moon. Thousands of Norwegians bombarded the Meteorological Institute to ask what that light could have possibly been. Some feared it could have been a meteor, others a black hole, and there are even those that thought it could be alien.
A UFO in China's skies forced Zhoushan Airport to stop operations on July 7th. Outbound flights were grounded after the unidentified flying object was detected by a flight crew. The incident has captured the attention of Chinese media, and theories about the UFO's identity are burning up on the internet as well. They include everything from a hidden U.S. bomber to an elaborate man-made hoax. For now, the UFO continues to be a mystery. A spokesman from China's Civil Aviation Administration confirmed to ABC News that the matter is under investigation.
This registered civil engineer was able to triangulate, and this thing was between half a mile and a mile big. So that rules out any conventional aircraft. The silence rules out, as you know, any airplanes, anything like that.
So what's your conclusion?
Probably, I'll call it a mothership. That,
a mothership.
Well, space carrier, does that sound better? You know, we have aircraft carriers which are huge and little small airplanes on it. We have a number of reports of huge craft, big monsters, half a mile to a mile, that move silently and slowly and then fast.
What do you make of the military chasing it?
Well, that's standard practice. Larry, I hate to say this, and it sounds unpatriotic, but the Air Force has lied about UFOs for more than 50 years, 60 years, actually. And this would be in keeping with that.
This UFO recorded over Gulf Breeze by a UFO investigator named Michael Hawkins, which has stunning similarities to what Walters had first photographed and videotaped in 1987, seems to have the same kind of otherworldly propulsion capabilities.
Yeah, check that out. That is killer. This thing is real. It can't be no balloon. It's no balloon, man. It's no balloon. That is real. That's a real thing, dude. That is the real thing. Where the hell did it go? It's gone, man. It's gone.
Hawkins was able to videotape the bizarre craft extremely close up and had it perfectly in frame just as it seems to vanish in the blink of an eye.
At the site, we meet Mike Hawkins, who shot the original video here in Gulf Breeze, Florida.
It was going out like behind the trees there.
And it was out over the bay?
Yeah.
How far out do you think it was over the water?
It's hard to tell. It could have been as big as a blimp for all I could tell. It's hard to tell at night like that, but it was definitely going behind the distant trees. It could have been some kind of secret military project from Megan Air Force Base, some kind of drone. Maybe there was no people inside of it. And I always tend to believe it's got to be military, because your mind doesn't want to believe that it's aliens. Possibly the aliens have an agreement with the U.S. government that we're allowed to do whatever we want because there's nothing you can do about it. So we're going to have free reign over whatever we want to do, and you're going to like it. I have a hard time a lot of days even believing the alien agenda at all. But then other days I think, well, maybe it's plausible. I wish I would physically see an alien, then I would know.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
We'll take care of that.
It's a UFO, according to witnesses, and the witnesses include local police and other public figures, the kind of people one would say are level-headed. It's described as a mile long. Some people said the object was a mile long and looked like a gigantic light show. Some folks say it appeared to be chased by fighter planes.
What I saw was 3 lights. There were 2 on bottom and there's 1 on top, and then the one on top disappeared, and then the other 2 disappeared.
Last night, the family watched the bright object for 15 minutes, and they weren't afraid.
No, I think we were too curious and interested. We were amazed. We were hoping it would stay around a little bit longer, get closer just so we could see it.
So what was it, huh? Stevensville, Texas is a farm town where when the sun goes down at night, the stars light up in the sky. And last week, witnesses claim they saw something hovering hundreds of feet above the ground, and they say they saw fighter jets, F-16s, chasing these mysterious objects. What gives?
Explain this to me, kids. I don't think it's a supernova now that I look at it. It shouldn't be that. I think it's a UFO. It's a UFO.
Fuck, man, we did something.
Good on you, Sammy. Just keep doing it. Oh, man. It's that supernova that they called up in Cairns, remember? It was on the news. They called it. But that was far away. That was a galaxy far, far away. What was that? Oh, my God. That should do, Sam. We better get on with our thing.
Well, you are looking at what could be a UFO. More unexplained lights over Stephenville. Is this some military secret or a visitor from space?
Good evening. A 20-year-old man took that video last night, and it's already creating a buzz.
It is also the latest in what have been a rash of UFO sightings in rural Texas.
All right, now here's a lovely little story we've covered most of the time. The small town of Stephenville, Texas, doesn't attract too much attention.
But people there think that they've suddenly got a lot of attention from visitors who come from very, very far away.
Astronomers are buzzing tonight about a new planet. And not just any planet. This one could very well support life. The team studying this new world includes local scientists. ABC 7's Karina Rusk explains why they believe there just might be alien life there.
NASA's new Kepler spacecraft detecting hundreds of planets that they believe have the potential to support alien life forms. It is studying more than 150,000 stars, and that's just in one small patch of the sky, okay? If the 700-plus candidates are actually planets, it could triple the number of known planets in deep space. This is so fascinating to me, Corey.
Fascinating. I know you've been following this planet, you've been talking about for the last 12 years, and it's been very interesting to follow its progress, but how are you able to determine that it could actually sustain life?
Well, a major announcement today by NASA that a new form of life has been discovered right here on Earth, in California, in fact, where all good and perhaps all strange things come from.
Now, the United Nations is getting ready for a contact with aliens from outer space. This is Moslin Othman. She's out of Malaysia. She will be planet Earth's first interstellar diplomat.
In fact, all 7 of the persons who appeared with me believe that we are dealing with extraterrestrials.
I was wrong earlier today because it hadn't happened yet when I said, well, we heard UFOs were going to arrive over major U.S. cities.
Again, at the press club, were persons who were vetted by the U.S. government to launch or otherwise operate weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
These are clearly level-headed persons that are now saying that UFOs have shut down our nuclear weapons.
But the Vatican's chief astronomer does say that there could exist other forms of life outside Earth. And he says if they do exist, they are God's creatures.
An incredible story coming out of the Vatican. Listen to this. The senior Vatican scientist said that he would be delighted if we encountered intelligent aliens and would be happy to baptize.
A UFO in China's skies forced Zhoushan Airport to stop operations on July 7th. Outbound flights were grounded after the unidentified flying object was detected by a flight crew.
It was in the archives in the Vatican as far as UFOs and things like that are concerned. If that could be released, wow, then it would blow the socks off a lot of people.
Hey, in this town, this is absolutely true. It was in all the papers. It was on CNN. Apparently, everyone in this town saw these UFOs. Everyone in the town saw the UFOs. Police chief, mayor, they all saw the fucking UFOs, all right? And I'm curious. I asked people what it was like. Oh, man, it was incredible, incredible. People came from miles around to look at them. A lot of people came armed. Excuse me?
Well, I wish I could give you an answer to this bizarre sighting. I really can't, but I can tell you that earlier today, there were dozens and dozens of people right here on 23rd and 8th. They were standing right here, and they were all in a stupor, just crowded together, looking into the sky.
It's long been the fantasy of sci-fi fans the world over, but now the idea of life on other planets looks more likely than ever. This is Gliese 581G.
Complex beings like us, even civilizations like our own, could be down there, right now.
But it's just right to have liquid water, the universal solvent, the amniotic fluid of life.
Even at this distance, they could be tuning into our TV signals, watching shows from 20 years ago.
The British government has now released thousands upon thousands of pages of documents on unidentified flying objects.
The truth is, quite literally out there, the Ministry of Defence has released its latest batch of files relating to UFOs.
The only long-term survival plan that works is to spread out into space.